How do ducks float in water? It's a fair question that has puzzled humans for many years, but now we know the answer. And what we learned might surprise you. While your bathtub may seem like a great place to test this theory, we recommend you take your duck outside to get real-world data. That's why our outside correspondent went down to the pond to observe the ducks firsthand. Using the scientific method, he was able to gather valuable information. Our correspondent discovered that ducks can float on water even while sleeping. So the question becomes, how can these birds fall asleep without drowning? To figure out how ducks can nap in the middle of a watery expanse, we have to look at their bodies, their feathers, and how the two work together. First up, let's talk about ducks' buoyant bodies. Because of their unique anatomy, ducks are less dense than water, which means they can float. They have lightweight hollow bones, which reduces their overall weight, and their bodies are filled with air sacs connected to their lungs. These air sacs act like balloons, making the duck's bodies even lighter. And when you consider their bones and air sacs together, a duck's skeleton is 36% lighter than the same structure if it were made out of solid bone. To make things even more clear, a duck would weigh less than 4 pounds, or about the weight of a bag of groceries if it didn't have any water in its body. But even when full of water, a duck still only weighs about 7 pounds. That's less than the average weight of a bowling ball. So even if a duck had rock-solid bones, it would still be light enough to float. But ducks also have another trick up their feathery sleeves, literally. They have special glands near their tails called uropygial glands. These glands produce an oily substance that the ducks spread over their feathers while preening. The oil keeps water from sticking to the feathers, and that's key to staying afloat. When the feathers repel water, they allow a layer of air to stick to their bodies. That layer of air acts like a warm jacket, keeping the duck dry and buoyant. Ducks also have a super flexible rib cage that allows their lungs to expand into their ribs and air sacs. When the duck breathes in, air rushes into those areas, further filling their body with air and making them even more buoyant. While other animals use swim bladders to control their buoyancy, ducks just breathe. That said, it isn't all smooth sailing, or rather floating. If a duck's feathers aren't properly waterproofed, their body will become waterlogged and they'll sink like a rock. Similarly, if a duck accidentally sucks in water instead of air, they'll become heavier than water and sink. However, because of their flexible rib cages and their habit of storing air inside their bodies, ducks are much better at avoiding these problems than most birds. So ducks' bodies are built for floating, but that doesn't necessarily mean they can sleep while floating. After all, humans have tried and failed to sleep while on a raft in the ocean. That's why our correspondent hung around the pond a little longer. He observed that ducks sleep while floating by taking advantage of their webbed feet and body shape. Webbed feet help keep them balanced in the water, and their elongated bodies make sure their center of gravity stays low enough that they don't tip over. Sometimes they'll even tuck their bills under their wings to keep themselves upright. They also tend to sleep while floating in groups, and that helps keep everyone stable. Because there are so many ducks, they can lean on each other for support. Just like when you try to stand up after being seated in a chair for too long, sometimes sleeping ducks lean on other ducks to help them get their bearings. And then there's the matter of sleeping with one eye open. You see, ducks don't exactly sleep like we do. They take cat naps throughout the day and night. These naps come in 2 varieties. During the first type of nap, called unihemispheric slow-wave sleep, or USW, one half of a duck's brain sleeps while the other half stays awake. The awake half controls the side of the body that's in the water, keeping it afloat. We don't know exactly how ducks alternate which side of their brain is awake and which side is asleep, but they seem to switch naturally between left and right. And if a predator attacks, the sleeping duck is more likely to react and swim away. In fact, scientists believe that ducks evolved this sleeping style specifically to keep them safe from predators. The second type of nap is just like regular sleep. The entire brain is shut down, but the duck's paddling keeps them upright. So ducks sleep while floating by, leaning on each other, and using one half of their brain at a time. But our correspondent noticed something else. Sometimes ducks fall asleep while paddling, and they don't sink. At first, he thought maybe they fell asleep while balancing on their tails, but he ruled that out pretty quickly. Instead, he watched a tired duck slowly tilt until its back was almost parallel to the water. Then it just let gravity take over and floated onto its back. It wasn't exactly comfortable looking, but it worked. The duck stayed afloat and took a quick nap before righting itself and getting back to paddling. So our correspondent watched some more ducks fall asleep while paddling, and he noticed a pattern. Each time a duck fell asleep while floating on its back, it used a technique called tonic immobility, or in simpler terms, playing dead. Tonic immobility is a trick that many animals use to avoid predators. When an animal is in danger, it freezes in place, hoping the predator won't notice it. And it turns out that ducks fall asleep while floating on their backs and using tonic immobility, they essentially fool their bodies into not sinking. When a duck falls asleep while paddling, its body relaxes and its muscles stop moving. Normally, the duck would sink like a rock, but because it's relaxed, it doesn't fight the water, so it stays afloat. Basically, tonic immobility tricks the duck's body into not reacting against the water, allowing it to stay on top. It's like voluntarily giving yourself a flotation device. Our outside correspondent gathered lots of data during his time at the pond. So let's go back to the original question. How do ducks float in water? As it turns out, ducks float because of a combination of their body structure, feathers, and behavior. Their lightweight, hollow bones and air-filled bodies make them less dense than water, so they naturally float like a balloon. Their uropygial glands make their feathers waterproof, and that allows them to trap air close to their bodies, giving them additional buoyancy. Ducks sleep while floating by taking advantage of their webbed feet and body shape, as well as by leaning on each other and sleeping with one eye open. Sometimes ducks fall asleep while paddling and use a trick called tonic immobility, or playing possum, to fool their bodies into not sinking. So even when a duck is asleep, it's like a little self-inflating boat. Its lightweight body and waterproof feathers keep it comfortably afloat. Now that you know how ducks manage to sleep on water, you can ponder another floating-related query. Why do some boats float and others sink? Or you can check out this video about a metal replica of Leonardo da Vinci's war machines. Thanks for watching.